Hey guys, it's Jack Cypher here. One Piece is one of my favourite anime of all time, and because I want to start getting into more One Piece content, I thought it was a great idea to do a series explaining all about One Piece's power system. So that's Rokushiki, Haki, and of course the main one, Devil Fruits. Now for me, the Devil Fruits are what really got me into One Piece. I found them so creative and original. Of course, the individual powers aren't anything new. We see these types of powers in all sorts of anime and fiction. But just the premise and the mystery of the Devil Fruits, not to mention the imagination that Oda uses giving these Devil Fruits specific abilities, I just thought it was brilliant, and it's what made me want to do this in-depth analysis over the Devil Fruits. So without further ado, let's get right into it by first explaining what are Devil Fruits. In layman's terms, Devil Fruits are magical fruits that grant supernatural powers to the person who eats it. These powers can range from controlling the elements, to turning into animals, to being able to create weapons from your own body. There's a whole slew of abilities one might gain from eating one of these mysterious fruits. Now, with the exception of one person, you can only eat one devil fruit. Or to be more precise, your body can only handle one devil fruit. Anything more would result in your death. They're also said to taste incredibly foul. Interesting enough, you only need to have one bite from it if you want to gain the power. So for instance, if you and your mate find a devil fruit just sitting in the gutter and decide to eat it, or should I say share it, then it's the first person that takes the first bite of the fruit that gains the fruit's magical power. People don't know this though, so they just eat the whole thing, which really sucks to be them because it's apparently disgusting. Cool little thing about devil fruits, once you've eaten one, how should I put this? It becomes accustomed to your body and possessions. For instance, if you're a normal human-sized person and you eat a devil fruit that turns you into, let's say, a massive giraffe, or turns you into some hulking giant, the clothes that you're wearing will expand and fit your new form. Now, Oda has explained why he's done this. Basically, if the devil fruits were made in a more sci-fi realistic way, his whole cast would be pretty much naked. So to counteract that, he's given the devil fruits the ability to change with the user to protect everyone's dignity. Now, the really interesting thing about devil fruits is that despite the fact that it's literally giving you superhuman powers, they're a total mystery. We have no idea where devil fruits originated from. Now, there are two theories presented to us throughout the show from two very different characters. All the way back in Eni's lobby, we get introduced to a CP9 agent called Jabra. And he goes on to explain that once you eat a devil fruit, you get a little Kurama from Naruto inside you. It essentially gives you a little demon, and that's why when you eat two devil fruits, those devils come in contact with each other and they fight, and the resulting fight results in your body exploding. Now, Jabra is, how should we put this? He's a very naive and simple type of character. He's not the sharpest tool in the shed. But we get a much more interesting and compelling theory given to us by Vegapunk himself. Now, I do find it interesting that this is still just a theory. I like that it's just a hypothesis from Vegapunk, that it's not 100% certain, which is cool because it kind of leads me to believe that Oda might want to change it up a little bit, or is trying to pull a fast one on us, basically. But Vegapunk's idea is that devil fruits were brought into creation from the desires and hopes of humans. It's very similar to Chainsaw Man, if you've seen that, and how their devil system works in that universe. Devils are created out of human fears, and it's from those fears that represent their power. If more humans fear something, then the devil would be more powerful. So if humans are fearing, let's say, gun violence, then a gun devil will be born from that fear. This seems to be very similar, but instead of just fear, it's hope and desire in general. But it's not as simple as that. Now, this is just my interpretation of it, so I could be wrong here, but basically what Vegapunk claims, to me at least, is that these desires aren't from humans in the One Piece dimension. Basically, he's saying that there's many different dimensions in this universe that Oda has created, and it's the people from these other dimensions that are dreaming up the devil fruits that get created in this specific One Piece world. Now, he further goes on to claim that it's because these fruits are coming from another dimension that it's a slight against nature, and that in the One Piece world at least, nature is represented by the sea beginning everything. Everything came from the sea, so because these magical fruits are sprouting from another dimension, which is going against Mother Nature itself, she punishes the eaters of these fruits by taking away their ability to swim. Now, let's segue from that and we'll talk about the devil fruit weaknesses. Or should I say, the one weakness that all devil fruit users share, and that's the fear of the sea. Basically, in the water, devil fruit users are completely helpless. They can't do anything, they can't even struggle. They just sink like a rock. This weakness, in my opinion at least, is a very worthy trade-off for the power that you're gaining. There are many devil fruits out there that actually give you a countermeasure to this issue of drowning. For instance, devil fruits that give you an ability to fly, or the ability to freeze the ocean, or the ability to float. That type of stuff that can save you from those dire circumstances. Or if push came to shove, you can just stay on dry land for the rest of your life. Also, many people in One Piece are already superhumans, and can do moves like the moonwalk to further avoid the danger of the sea. Now, it isn't just seawater that takes away devil fruit powers, but liquid in general, and it seems to be that you need to be submerged in liquid. I'm not 100% sure on the exact measurements, but I think it's about if you're more than halfway submerged into water, you lose power and you become vulnerable. And in that state, you can't willingly use an attack. For instance, if Luffy is soaked up to his chest in a bathtub, he can't use a gum pistol. However, and this is important, he doesn't just lose his devil fruit ability. His devil fruit has now become part of his lineage factor, and I'll get into that in another video. It's a whole different can of worms, but basically it's your DNA. And just because you're submerged in water, it can't remove the DNA from you. It just dampens it to the point that you can't knowingly use it. However, like we see in Arlong Park when Luffy is completely submerged in a, I don't even know what you would call that, let's just say it was Arlong's pool, Luffy had sunk to the bottom and was unable to do anything. But Nami's adoptive sister, Nojiko, was able to dive into the water and stretch out Luffy's head to bring it above the water so that her and Genzo could try and resuscitate Luffy. The whole weakness to water can get quite confusing, and I definitely reckon that the weakness to water has a bigger part to play in the origins of the devil fruits. There's a reason why Oda has made most of this world water. But now that we've kind of gone over the main overview of what a devil fruit is, let's get into the three categories that they're separated into. The first category, and probably the most simplistic, are Logias. Logias give the user the ability to turn into a natural element. Now that might potentially change because there are lots of non-canon Logia fruits that are substances like paper, syrup, or candy. So Oda in the future might potentially come out with a devil fruit that wasn't just nature. We'll just have to wait and see for that though. The main strength of Logias is that it gives the user the ability to become intangible by turning into that specific element. This gives them a huge advantage over so many different characters in One Piece. The only surefire way to hit a Logia user is to know Haki, or to be more precise, to know armament Haki. Haki is another power system in One Piece that I'll go into in its own separate video. If you don't possess Haki, you've just got to pray to all the gods that you possess something in your arsenal to damage the element that you're going up against. For instance, characters like Crocodile have a ×2 weakness against water, if you want to go all Pokemon about it. Basically, water causes the sand to harden and solidify. Interesting enough, blood can also do this, which I find just a little bit stupid, but whatever. You also have fruits like Aokiji's Chili fruit that has a huge weakness against Ace's Flame fruit, or Akainu's Magma fruit. So if you go up against Aokiji, just be making sure to be packing a flamethrower. But there are devil fruits that pretty much have no weaknesses, aside from Haki, that is. And that would be fruits like Kizaru's Glint fruit, Blackbeard's Dark fruit, Enaru's Rumble fruit, and I'm sure that there are some that I'm just missing. But these fruits specifically are so powerful that there's nothing that you can do to any of these elements. You can't just throw some fire or wind at light and be able to hurt it. It's for this reason that I find crossover battles between One Piece characters and other characters in fiction to be quite interesting, and I haven't really seen too much of it. I would like to actually explore, for instance, how many of you would say that someone like Kizaru could either stalemate or take out most characters in anime? Now, of course, if you give other characters the ability to actually hit Kizaru, then it's a whole different argument. But how is anyone supposed to get around the fact that this dude is made out of freaking light? I just don't see how anyone is supposed to stop that. Now, let's get into the second type of devil fruit, and this type has the most subcategories. The main category is Zoan fruits. These are fruits that grant a person the ability to change into an animal, like a rhinoceros, or a giraffe, or a bison, stuff like that. There's also, how should we put this? It isn't specifically a subcategory, but a kind of next level of a traditional Zoan fruit, and they are the carnivorous Zoans. They're said to be more bloodthirsty and more powerful, like Lucci's leopard fruit, or Jabras wolf fruit. But when you get into the actual subcategories, you start getting into things like ancient Zoan fruits, which, like the name implies, allows you to turn yourself into a prehistoric animal, like say an Allosaurus, or a Triceratops, or even something like a mammoth or a saber-toothed tiger. But the Zoan fruits that are the most powerful, and the fruits of the rarest quality, even more rare than the Logias, are the mythical Zoans. Now these bad boys allow you to transform into things like phoenixes, and dragons, or things like the frickin' Buddha. They're completely ridiculous and powerful fruits that are kind of a mix in between Zoan and a type of devil fruit that we're about to talk about, known as Paramecia. Now, Paramecias are a miscellaneous group of devil fruits. It's where anything that isn't a Zoan fruit or a Logia fruit goes. From Buggy's Chop fruit, which gives him the ability to split himself apart, to Alvida's Slip fruit that gives her the ability to have everything just slip off her, to something more dangerous like Whitebeard's Tremor fruit, giving him the ability to create earthquakes, or Jozu's Diamond fruit, which, like the name suggests, allows him to turn into diamonds. Paramecia fruits are also the most common in the One Piece world, being so common that even a few of them were in the East Blue, one of the 4 oceans where devil fruits are rarely sighted. But even in this expansive category of devil fruits, there is also a subcategory. Now, to be fair, there's only one devil fruit known that's in this subcategory. They're known as Special Paramecias, and it's Katakuri's Mochi fruit. This devil fruit basically gives the user the ability of a Paramecia as well as a Pseudo-Logia. He can turn himself into Mochi and use that to shift around his body and remake himself around attacks. It's a very unusual type of Paramecia, and it's the only one we've ever seen in the series. Now, like all powers in anime, devil fruits have different levels to them. There's your normal devil fruits, and then there's a next step called awakenings. Devil fruit awakenings are first properly introduced into One Piece in the Dressrosa arc, where the warlord of the sea, Doflamingo, shows himself to have a secret level to his devil fruit, giving him the ability to turn not just himself, but the surrounding areas into string, allowing his Paramecia fruit to affect the world around him. This has led many fans to assume that the power of awakenings of a Paramecia devil fruit is to not just affect one's own body, but to affect things that they're coming in contact with. Now, I have a little bit of an issue with this. It's definitely true devil fruits like the string fruit and the mochi fruit work like this. But what about devil fruits like, say, Sugar's toy fruit or Kuma's paw fruit? These are devil fruits that already affect the world around them, and there are many fruits that do fall into this category. Now, I play it off as it's the miscellaneous category of devil fruits, so each awakening will be slightly different. Basically, it would be very fitting given the Paramecia group has so many wacky and weird abilities that all are vastly different from each other. It would make sense for each of them to have their own unique style of awakening. Now, I'm sure there'll be more like the string and mochi fruit that do affect the environment, but I do reckon some have more unique awakenings. Now, speaking of devil fruits having different awakenings, Zoan fruits also have a very bizarre awakening. All the way back, even in Impel Down, we see 4 demon guards, massive Zoan fruit users. We never actually see what the users look like, but they're in the form of gigantic animals. Off the top of my head, there was a rhino, a zebra, a cow, and a koala, I believe. And post-time skip, I think a chihuahua was added. Now, these guys failed in their awakenings. Basically, the animal spirits inside the devil fruits overpowered the users and turned them into the state they're in now, which is mindless, basically just being ordered around by Sadie. But characters like Rob Lucci and Kaku have such strong wills that the devil fruits were the ones that were subjugated. Subjugating and gaining the power, not the other way around. What we do know from a true awakening is that it grants the user even more strength, speed, durability, healing, and just physical power. Now, we've never seen an actual Logia fruit be awakened in the series. Fans like myself do speculate that Aokiji and Akainu were fighting in their awakened state, and that's why Punk Hazard was so drastically changed. So basically we came to the conclusion, like some of the Paramecia fruits that we've seen, that this power is to infect the environment around them, and to keep it like that permanently. Like we see in that scene where the supernovas are leaving for the new world, the island that's constantly raining down thunderbolts. Many people have gone to assume that that was the awakened form of the Rumble fruit, which I do really like. Now, we haven't got a concrete reason why some people awaken their devil fruits. Lots of people assume that 1, you need to be really strong and train a lot with the ability, but that you also need a lot of time. Some going as far to say 20 years plus with your devil fruit. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that, and I think that it's actually been proven wrong when Kaku awakened his devil fruit after only like 2 years. So maybe if you're just insanely strong, you can awaken it. But it also leads to an interesting quandary. When characters that you would definitely assume should have had an awakening haven't been shown yet. For instance, we never get told that Kaido or Big Mom or even Whitebeard were using their awakened forms. Now, there's certain abilities that we could say were the awakened forms of those devil fruits, but it's never confirmed, which I find a bit odd because during Wano, Oda introduced us more to awakenings, when he gave Kid and Law their awakenings. So I don't get why he couldn't have just said that Kaido or Big Mom were in their awakened forms. Now, that's pretty much everything regarding devil fruit awakenings. However, there are a few more things that I just wanted to go over. One is that not just human beings can eat devil fruits. We learned throughout the series that Vegapunk has come up with a way to feed devil fruits to inanimate objects, like guns, cannons, swords, etc. I know it sounds ridiculous, and it's just one of the ways Oda really shows his creativity. I mean, an elephant sword? That is genius. Now, it hasn't been explained how this is possible. I assume it has something to do with Vegapunk injecting an inanimate object with a lineage factor, basically the DNA juice to grant the ability. I don't think there'll ever be a truly scientific explanation for it, but I believe that's how it would probably work. Another interesting thing is that Vegapunk has done, and by extension one of his former colleagues, Caesar as well, have created artificial devil fruits. Now let's start with the inferior versions first, and those will be Caesar's. Basically, Caesar came up with a way to create artificial devil fruits that would grant people Zoan fruit powers. But it had a 1 in 10 chance of being successful, and if it failed, it would cause a person to forever be smiling and laughing, no matter the pain and suffering and grief that they were going through. And that's where the fruits got their horrible name, known as smiles. Now, it should be noted, they didn't turn people into full Zoans. It just gives them the attributes of an animal. Like some might have tiger claws, or a turtle shell, or an elephant tusk. You get the idea. They were very inferior versions to the proper Zoan fruits. The mad genius himself, Vegapunk, came up with a way to create essentially a pretty much perfect copy of Kaido's Azure Dragon Fruit, the fruit that was eaten by Momonosuke. Now, Vegapunk deemed this a failure because of its colour. Now, I imagine there's probably more contributing factors to that. Maybe it's just not as powerful or less controllable, or maybe there can never be an awakening for it. We've also seen that it's possible for Vegapunk to duplicate devil fruits. Now, this can only be done with Paramecia devil fruits. Zoans are the only ones that you can create artificially, and Logias had been proven to be too difficult to replicate or recreate. But basically, if Vegapunk gets some of the DNA from the original wielder of a devil fruit, he can do his science magic to it and create a substance known as green blood. This substance is then given to Vegapunk's artificial creations known as the Seraphims. So far, we've seen the Swim fruit, the Love fruit, and the Dice fruit, as well as the Paw fruit be duplicated. Now, this is a huge showing of just why Vegapunk is so important to the world government, and why they want him so badly, and why he's such a threat. He can revolutionize combat. If he can create artificial beings with these powers, then he could essentially take over the world given enough time. An army of Pacifista and Seraphims would just be unstoppable. But now, what happens to a devil fruit once the user dies? Good question. So the way it works are devil fruits get reincarnated when a user dies. The power gets reincarnated in another similar fruit. And when that essence goes into the fruit, it magically changes it into a devil fruit. Now, it's not confirmed whether or not the reincarnation process happens with the closest fruit nearby, or if it can reincarnate any fruit in the entire world. Because we see in Punk Hazard that the axolotl fruit gets reincarnated into an apple that's down on the sleigh. However, we hear about in the manga, and I won't use any spoilers here, but a specific devil fruit has been trying to keep itself out of the hands of the world government, which to me kind of leads me to believe that it chooses to reincarnate as far away from the world government as possible. But that's just a theory at the moment. I would like it more if they could reincarnate anywhere in the world, because devil fruits are supposed to be so hard to find. Some people spend their whole lives trying to search for one. So I just find it a little bit, I don't know, anticlimactic if you can just kill someone, have a banana ready, and then just take the devil fruit after you kill the original user. I don't know if it just doesn't seem as theatrical as Oda likes to be. But that's pretty much everything you really need to know about devil fruits. I thought it was a good idea to make this video because, like I was saying in the beginning, I want to make more One Piece content, and I've been thinking about doing more how strong are certain characters, like what I did with Shanks. And to do that, I want to go into all the devil fruit abilities. So for anyone out there watching who might just be getting into One Piece, or for any who haven't even seen it yet, or people that just needed a little bit of a refresher, I thought this was a good video to make. Now, if you've noticed any inconsistencies in this video, or noticed me stumbling over myself more than usual, it's because this video has been less scripted than my previous videos. Still reading off a script, but it's more of a cliff note type of version of it. Basically, as I've said before in descriptions and everything, I've been trying a lot of different things with each video I bring out. So if you guys are watching one video from the other and noticing huge differences, it's because I'm just trying new things and trying to find what really works for me. But if you guys have stayed for this long, please make sure to like and subscribe, and leave down in the comments all your thoughts on this video. But for right now guys, I've been Jack Cypher, and like usual, Cypher out.